Welcome to the Tommy Hunter Show.
Lonesome number one. Just call me lonesome number one. All the those trophies have I won. I surely must be lonesome number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Hunter.
Thank you. Well, I remember when I was just a children, it's a time when people used to treat their neighbor like a fellow man. Now that all day singing and that big prayer meeting, when a man was proud to walk up and shake his neighbor's hand, talked about the good times, talked about the good times. I'm going to see old friends I knew in the good old days, have a big handshake, talk together, sit down by the river Jordan and sing all the cares away. About the times are harder and the people are changing. Today most folks can tell you who the next door neighbors are. Front doors are bolted and all the guns are loaded. Well, I think they're taking fear a little too far. Talk about the good times, talk about the good times. I'm going to see all the friends I knew in the good old days. Have a big handshake, sit and talk together. Sit down by the river Jordan and sing all the cares away. Talk about the good times, talk about the good times, talk about the good times. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you so much, and welcome to our show. Tonight, we're going to talk about the good times, and we're going to meet a few of our old friends as we take a look back at our 27 years on CBC Television. That image that you see up there is from our very first show, way back in September of 1965. It was a great 27 years. Not only did I get a chance to host a show I enjoyed doing, I got to be a lot of other things besides. For a while, I was a sheriff. I was Scrooge. I had lots of hair. Then I didn't have any hair. Roar! Well, I was even the MGM lion. We also had a lot of great guests on our show over the years. I'm sure you'll remember this young singer from Nova Scotia. She paid us a visit way back in 1969.
Beneath its snowy mantle, cold and clean, the unborn grass lies waiting for its coat to turn to green. The snowbird sings a song he always sings, and speaks to me of flowers that will bloom again in spring.
Other friends who dropped around include Gordon Lightfoot, Vince Gill, Garth Brooks, Reba McEntire, the King of the Cowboys, Roy Rogers, and his wife, Dale Evans, Mr. Eddie Arnold, and I even got a chance to sing a few duets, like this one with Loretta Lynn.
Well, you're the reason I'm riding around to recap tars. Right the wires.
Yeah, and you're the reason I'm hanging our clothes out.
And you're the reason our kids are ugly. Keep going. Little darling.
Yeah, the looks ain't everything. The money ain't everything. But I love you just the same.
Thank you. And how many of you folks recognize this young singer?
Just walk on by. Wait on the border. I love you, but with strangers when we meet. Just walk on.
That's 15-year-old Shania Twain. Here's someone else I'm sure you all remember.
I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps rolling on down to San Antonio.
Another thing that I got to do over the years was a little dancing. Well, if you want to call it dancing. Here's Al Turney on the fiddle. That's Fred Astaire doing the dancing. And here's one that I really had to be on my toes for, keeping up with this young lady.
Our problem's just a toy balloon. They'll be bursting soon. They're just bound to go pop.
Whoop, there goes another problem. Kerp flop.
Whoops, there goes another problem. Kerp flop.
Whoops, there goes
another problem. Kerp flop.
Kerp flop.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her back. All grown up, Miss Cynthia Dale. Cynthia, welcome back to our show, and thank you so much for taking the time to drop by tonight.
Thank you.
I see you everywhere. You sing and you dance, and you've had a great run at the Stratford Festival and My Fair Lady. And in your spare time, you had a chance to make a CD.
I did. I recorded my first CD called To Dream. I sang a lot of songs that I performed at the Stratford Festival and a lot of favorite songs that I grew up with.
Well, I hope everyone in our audience will go right out and buy that CD. Then they will. Do you still remember that little dance step?
I think so.
Let's see if we can do a little bit. Could you run that clip again, please?
Problem's just a toy balloon. They'll be bursting soon. They're just bound to go pop.
Whoops, there goes another problem. Kerp flop.
Whoops, there goes another problem. Kerp flop. There goes another problem. Kerp flop. Kerp flop.
There she is. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Cynthia. Actually, I haven't shown you all of that clip. There's just a little bit more. Could you roll that just a little bit further, please? And I've been waiting 30 years for you to return that kiss. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Dale. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Well, I remember when I was just children, it's a time when people used to treat their neighbor like a fellow man. Dad all day singing and that big prayer meeting. When a man was proud to walk up and shake his neighbor's hand. Talk about the good times. Talk about the good times. Talk about the good times. Thank you.
If you are wondering what I'm gonna do, if you are sleeping, am I sleeping too? Well, I'm just sitting here loving you, closing my eyes and loving you, and I'm just sitting back, sitting here loving you.
to rain. Round the bend came a passenger train. On the bumpers was a hobo John. He's a good old hobo, but he's dead and gone. Dead and gone, dead and gone. He's a good old hobo, but he's dead and gone.
I know a lot of viewers will remember those three guys, Mike, Mark, and Jack, the Rhythm Pals. They were with us from our very first show in 1965. And before that, we had worked together for years on CBC Radio. Over the years, we had a lot of great talent as regulars on our show. Miss Pat Hervey was one of our first regulars back in 1960. Another great vocalist was Miss Debbie Laurie Kay, and two sisters from Alberta who were with us for many years, Jackie and Coralie, the Allen sisters.
And Jimmy Joe's make dreams come true. Daddy, won't you take me back?
And I'm sure you remember these two. They sang with me for about 15 years.
Paradise Lane.
Please welcome Donna and Leroy Anderson right here. Good to see you.
Hi, Tommy.
Oh, it's so good to see you. Roy, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Boy, I'm telling you, still remember that old tune?
Oh, I think we do.
We sang it on the plane all the way up here.
A captive audience.
Not an appreciative bunch.
Let's give it a try. Here we go. When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky, where my parents were born.
There's a backwoods old town I often remember.
So many times that my memories are worn.
Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River, where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. There we are. Thank you so much. Boy, that just seems like old times. And we're going to see you a little bit later on in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Donna and Leroy Anderson. Another thing our television show was known for was the great musicians we had. Guys like Jimmy Peary on guitar. Ollie Strong on steel guitar. Bob Lucier on steel guitar. And, of course, Fred Shea. One of the greatest musicians I ever met. We called him the King of the Banjo. And all you folks from Edmundston, New Brunswick know who I'm talking about. Here is Morris Follier. He was the greatest. When Morris passed away suddenly, the vacancy he left was a tough one to fill. But there are youngsters coming up who are working very hard to keep that banjo tradition alive. One youngster was a 12-year-old banjo champion that we had on our show way back in 1979. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Miss Sally Short. She's back with us tonight. Please welcome Sally Short and her 5-string banjo. Another great musician who was with our show for many years from Medicine Hat, Alberta, the late Al Cherney and the Orange Boston Special. Al was very generous with his talent and brought many young musicians to our show. Here he is in 1973 with the young champion fiddler that he brought to our attention. 12-year-old Donnie Reed. Now, 30 years later, that young man is back with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Donnie Reed. From Brampton, Ontario, the River Road Cloggers, and an old favorite that Morris Bollier and Al Cherney used to play together. Back up and put.
Kelly, where are you? Hello, honey. We almost lost you up there. You're just as sweet as apple pie. Can you give me a great big smile? Huh? Let me see you smile. She says, I would like to know if I like the way she spells it, would sing Happy Birthday to me. Let's everybody sing it to Kelly. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kelly. Happy birthday to you. There we go. Thank you, Kelly. How you keeping, Red? Hey, Red, you got a new hat on there.
That's right. It's indicative of my pig farming days that are commencing immediately.
I heard that you were getting into pig farming, and I also happened to hear that the first pig that you purchased had a wooden leg.
That's right, he has, Tom.
How'd you get a wooden leg?
Well, we had a fire at our house, you see, and there was smoke, coming in the middle of the night. The pig came up, scratched on the door, woke us all up and saved our lives.
Yeah, but how come the pig's got a wooden leg?
Well, see, I was out driving a tractor about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hit a stump, and the tractor tilted over, and I was pinned right underneath it, and the pig came running out again, buried a hole underneath, and got me out of there, and saved my life again. Fantastic pig.
Maybe I'm not listening right. Wait a minute. How come, I'm going to find out, how come the pig has a wooden leg?
Well, with a good pig like that, you wouldn't want to eat them all at once.
country music, let your sad songs roll. You nurtured me in childhood, you're a haven for my soul. Mother country music, let your guitars roll on. There's a refuge for my trouble in your song. I'm sure there are many youngsters who at some time in their life have been inspired by a hero they had. Maybe it was a fireman, a hockey player, maybe an astronaut. I know what happened to me, but my heroes were a little different. And it all started one night when I was 9 years old in London, Ontario. It was a Saturday night. My father had taken me to see a Grand Ole Opry show that had just come to town. The show starred Roy Acuff and the Smoky Mountain Boys and Girls. When we got there and they dimmed the lights, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never seen a show like that before. But when I heard those guitars and those fiddles and Roy came out singing, I was swept away.
From the great Atlantic Ocean to the wide Pacific shore, from the queen of flowing mountains to the south built by the shore, she's mighty tall and handsome, she's known quite well by all. She's the combination on the Wabash Cannonball.
As I sat there in that darkened theater listening to Roy sing, something took a hold of me that never let go. I decided then and there what I was going to do with my life. I was going to try to sing country music. It wasn't long after that that I got my first guitar. Whenever I could, I had my ear pressed right up to the radio listening for country music. And one of the programs that I looked forward to every Saturday night was the Grand Ole Opry from Nashville, Tennessee. There I heard all the greats of country music. Roy Acuff, Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, little Jimmy Dickens, and a great lady, Miss Cousin Minnie Pearl. And everybody's favorite grandpa, Grandpa Jones.
He was bald-headed. He had to draw a chalk mark up here to tell how far up to wash his face.
There were also two Canadian country singers who were great heroes of mine in those days. The first was a guy who sang about the Blue Canadian Rockies, the Strawberry Roan, and boy, did he love that Calgary Stampede, my good friend Wilf Carter.
We're headed for the roundup, going to the big stampede. Old Nick Cosgrove riding in the lead. The old chuckle wagon rattling, the snorting and bucking broncs. We're headed for the Calgary Stampede.
My other Canadian hero was from down Nova Scotia way, the singing ranger, Hank Snow.
That big 8-wheel rolling down the track means you're too loving Daddy ain't coming back, 'cause I'm moving on. I'll soon be gone. You won't fly too high for my little old sky, so I'm moving on. Mr. Engineer, pick up the throttle in hand. The throttle is the fastest in the southern land to keep moving me on. Keep rolling on. You're gonna ease my mind, put me there on time and keep rolling on.
Hank was just great. You know, I was 12 years old when I played my first show in a church basement. Little did I realize that someday I would get a chance to meet all my boyhood heroes and actually share the stage with them. And in the fall of 1965, when I got my own show on the CBC Television network, the first guest we had was a guy from the Grand Ole Opry. I used to listen to him on my parents' stand-up radio. He was a comedian, a singer of folk songs, better known as the Kentucky Wonder, String Bean.
I got a gal in Baltimore, little Liza Jane, streetcar on that five door, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane. Oh, little Liza Jane.
You know, over the years, all the great names in country music played our show. Artists like Don Messer, Ernest Tubb, Tex Ritter, and a man that I long wanted to meet, the father of bluegrass music, Mr. Bill Monroe.
Oh, the people would come from far away to dance all night till the break of day. When they called her, hollered, do-she-do, you knew Alcapin was ready to go. Lady and the bouncing down, how do you get the buzz down? On the wind played a fiddle, all a half a ring, you can hear it talk, you can hear it sing.
All those boyhood heroes of mine are now gone, but their music lives on in their recordings and in our television shows. And I consider myself very fortunate to have met so many of them and shared the stage with them, if only for a brief time. Who's gonna fill their shoes? Who's gonna stand that tall? And who's gonna play the Opry and sing the Wabash Cannonball? Who's gonna give their heart and soul to get to me and you? Yeah, I wonder. Now who's gonna fill their shoes? Although a lot of country music greats are no longer with us, there are many new and very talented young artists today who are keeping the great tradition of country music alive. Artists like Alison Krauss, Alan Jackson, Ricky Skaggs. And who knows, perhaps in some darkened theater somewhere tonight, there's a young 9-year-old youngster who is listening with beating heart and being inspired to make country music their life. Modern country music, let your sad songs roll. You nurtured me in childhood, you're a haven for my soul. Modern country music, let your guitars roll on. There's a refuge for my trouble. Your song. Junkyard, yeah. I'm running like a new Corvette. I've still got neon in my veins. This gray hair don't mean a thing. I don't need your rocking chair. You don't need your rocking chair. Jerry Paul and your Medicare. Jerry Paul and your Medicare. My body's old, but it ain't impaired. I don't need that rocking chair. Fit in my plans. You can keep your seat, I'm going to stand. Still got me all in my face. And this gray hair don't mean a thing. I don't need a rocking chair. You don't need no rocking chair. Jerry Paul and your Medicare. Jerry Paul and your Medicare. Body's old, but it ain't impaired. I don't need that rocking chair. Take a little longer, but I'll get there. I don't need that rocking chair. Folks, if you enjoy bluegrass, boy, we've got the best. Here she is, Rhonda Vincent and the Rage. Make her welcome. my story, a story that I know is true.
A little rose bloomed in Georgia with a pair of gold and a heart so true. Way down in the Blue Ridge Mountains, way down where the tall pines grow, lives my sweetheart on the mountain. She's my little Georgia rose.
Folks, we like to close our show tonight with a reading that we get many, many requests for when we're traveling on our personal appearances. We hope you enjoy it. It's called No Charge. My little boy came into the kitchen this evening while my wife was fixing supper. He handed her a piece of paper that he'd been writing on, and she dried her hands off on her apron. She read it, and this is what it said. For mowing the yard, $5. For making my bed this week, $1. For going to the store, 50 cents. For babysitting little brother while you went shopping, 25 cents. For taking out the trash, $1. For getting a good report card, $5. For raking the yard, $2. Total owed, $14.75. Well, she looked at him standing there, and I guess 1,000 memories must have flashed through her mind. She just picked up the pen. She turned the paper over. And this is what she wrote. For the 9 months that I carried you, son, there's no charge. And for the nights that I sat up with you, doctored you, prayed for you, no charge. For the time and the tears and the cost throughout those years, there's no charge. And for the nights that were filled with grief, and for all those worries ahead, there's no charge. And for the advice and the knowledge and the cost of your college, there's no charge. And for those toys and the food and the clothes, and for just wiping your nose, son, there's no charge. Well, when he finished reading, he looked up with tears in his eyes. He says, Mama, I sure do love you. And he took the pen, and in great big letters, he wrote, paid in full. So when you add it all up, the full cost of our love, son, is no charge. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, back when our show ended in 1992, there was no chance to say a thank you to all those who made our television show a success. So I'd like to take this opportunity now to express what was left unsaid then. It isn't everyone who gets a chance to live out their dream in life, and I'm one of the lucky ones. I'd first of all like to thank CBC Television for playing such a big role in making that dream come true. And I'd also like to thank all of those who work so dedicatedly behind the scenes on our weekly program. Many of you are here tonight, and I want to thank you for your support. You meant everything to me. Thanks also to the many guests who came to visit us and to stay on as friends. And last but by no means least, thank you to all of our loyal viewers. Come rain or shine, you were always there. Thank you, and take it easy. One more time, boys. I'm a traveling band, following the breeze. Traveling here, traveling there, gathering memories. So let me wander, let me wander on my love away. Just traveling on my way. And be the good Lord willing. We'll see you real soon. Good night, everybody.
special, stay at the Holiday Inn on King in the entertainment district of downtown Toronto.